Rolls-Royce has completed a comprehensive test program using 100% sustainable aviation fuel in its Trent engines, demonstrating both compatibility and performance. The tests here confirm that sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, can serve as drop-in fuel, requiring zero modifications to existing engines or infrastructure, and utilizing SAF can reduce life cycle carbon emissions up to 80%, which is huge, and of course supports the aviation industry as a whole's decarbonization goals. And then successful tests, these are paving the way for increased SAF adoption. They still do need to go through the regulatory process, approval process, and then of course scaling up production. But it's great to see. I mean, Rolls-Royce is really aligning with global efforts. They're pushing the needle.
Really interesting. I don't know if I use the word game changing. It's a bit overused, but it's kind of game changing. I mean, if you can drop it in without modification, sounds like they tested it, and then they just got that certification to go through. So now, the biggest challenge here, with all that done, is scaling production. You've got the perfect test results, but now you need a global production line for this kind of miracle fuel that's coming in. And let me tell you, scaling SAF production isn't like scaling kind of your sourdough starters during a lockdown. This is a logistical beast they're taking on. Picturing kind of endless boardrooms arguing, saying, do we turn this sugarcane into jet fuel or rum? Tough decisions to be made to make sure that scalability.
Scaling production, I think you're too macro here, Andrew. The real issue is, and Greg just kind of glazed over this, and so did you a little bit, it's the regulatory approvals. Not just for the FAA, but we're talking global. So without global agreements, who's going to adopt SAF? It's amazing that Rolls-Royce is the first company to publicly confirm all of their currently in production engines for long-haul aircraft and business jets are compatible with this 100% SAF. But we know the FAA and its equivalents around the world need to verify the use of this, make sure that everything meets all these requirements and restrictions. So I think there's still a big hurdle here.
Yeah. Regulatory approval is that good old one. Yeah, sure. But so here we go. Let's call the bureaucrats, shall we? And wait. They're sipping coffee and they're arguing over their paperwork. Airlines, meanwhile, are stuck wondering what's going on. Do we fuel up on kerosene today? Or bet the farm on SAF, they're saying to themselves. Without production scaling, what is there to regulate? So they need to, you've got to get it done. But again, if they can't then produce at volume, they're going to be stuck back at square one, regardless of regulation or not. So what's next for me? Approving imaginary fuel. It's focusing on supply first, and the red tape will follow, in my opinion.
So you want to start with the process planning, bill of process?
Absolutely. Bill of process, get that signed up with your process plans, develop an efficient production workflow for SAF, including the transportation of this whole kind of bio-based feedstock into fuel, and then align those processes with your scalable manufacturing capabilities to make sure you meet the aviation industry's growing demand for this. And it's going to be really big growth.
I think you do need to consider building into your manufacturing, your mess mom, your virtual factory, all of that, at least some of what you think may be happening with regulatory approval, so you can make changes if you need to these plans based on what comes out of those. And if there's any final hurdles you have to hop over in order to make this work.
Yeah. You've got to get those kind of quality gates in place. I agree. But I think part of this whole thing as well, just extending on from what I was saying about process plans and bill of processes, start getting your advanced planning and scheduling tools optimized for SAF production. Monitor your production quality and efficiency in real time using your mess mom system to make sure that you've got consistent output and scalable efforts that can expand.
This, if I were to do an Andrewism here, I would say something about how we're building the Willy Wonka factory of fuels.
Yeah, instead of kind of golden tickets, we're handing out a net zero flight path or something. See you next week.